Now, the chemical properties of metals. To understand the chemical properties of metals, I'm going to classify the metals. Understand? First one, it is classified as highly reactive metals. Highly reactive metals. We are studying certain metals are lighter than water. For example, sodium, potassium, calcium, etc. These all metals are highly reactive. Now we are going to study about these metals properties. First, now what happens? We have got the atmosphere, oxygen is there, nitrogen is there, H2O is there, carbon dioxide is there, oxygen. Now, if this sodium metal is left exposed in air, it reacts with oxygen and it forms sodium oxide in H2O. If sodium metal is left exposed in air, it catches fire. That is why sodium burns with golden yellow flame. Potassium is with purple flame. And calcium is brick red. Because the question asks, name the metal that burns with golden yellowish flame, that is sodium. Simply what color that this sodium produces, you can understand it very much simple. What you should do, take little bit of common salt, sprinkle onto your blue LPG flame. Kitchen, you have got LPG, the flame is blue. You sprinkle little bit of common salt onto that and you see what is the color it produces. So, and that is the color, what I mean to say that golden yellowish color is produced. Sodium burns with golden yellow, potassium purple, and calcium is brick red. All these metals are combustible. They burn in air. And that is the reason all these metals are stored in kerosene oil. Sodium is stored in the kerosene. The lab it is either kerosene or paraffin wax. Nowadays, sodium comes in paraffin wax. Earlier, it was stored in kerosene oil. And why it is stored in kerosene oil? Sodium is a highly reactive metal. When left in air, it catches fire. From the bottle which contains this sodium, you take a piece of that. It has got a white coating. Remove the white coating, leave it in the atmosphere. After some time, you can see the metal burns. Understood it? So that's the reason all the highly reactive metals are stored in kerosene oil. There is a question. Why sodium is stored in kerosene oil? You write sodium is a highly reactive metal, therefore it is stored in kerosene oil. Full mark will not be given. You know that magnesium is a metal which is also reactive. But we don't store magnesium in kerosene. Laboratory, you have seen magnesium. Then if you leave magnesium outside, it is not going to catch fire. It is not going to cause any harm. Fe, you leave Fe. Fe is also reactive and leave it in the atmosphere, it can rust in it. But it is not going to catch fire. So why sodium is stored in the kerosene oil? Being highly reactive, when left in air, it catches fire. Therefore, it is stored in kerosene. Understood it? So what I mean to say that all these metals, all those that are highly reactive, sodium, potassium, calcium, all these, when we do the periodic class, we will understand that in detail. So all these metals are stored in kerosene oil. Understood it? Kerosene oil or petrol or paraffin wax, anything can be used. That should not contain, the medium should not contain oxygen, neither it should contain water. Understood it? So first reaction, all these metals are highly reactive, therefore they burn in air. Therefore they are stored in kerosene. Now the same one, the second reaction, these metals do get reacted with H2O. Sodium will be reacted with water, and what forms is sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. And that is why these metals are known as alkali metals. Sodium, potassium, calcium, sodium, potassium, these metals are known as alkali metals. Why? What are we are studying the first chapter? Second chapter, alkalis. Alkalis are those metallic hydroxides which are soluble in water. Alkalis are those hydroxides of metal which are soluble in water. Now, sodium gets reacted with H2O. We have got sodium hydroxide, which is an alkali, and hydrogen gas is released. Now, yesterday we are studying one property. Sodium is a metal which is lighter than water. Now, understand it. We have a petri dish taken. This has got water in it, and I put a piece of sodium metal, a small piece of sodium is put onto that. I put that. This sodium metal is lighter than water, therefore it floats on the surface. If you put an iron in, that goes down. When you put sodium metal or potassium or these things, they are lighter than water, therefore they float on the surface. Great. Now, what is this reaction? Sodium is combining with water and we get sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. And what property this hydrogen has? Hydrogen is the lightest gas. So when the metal is on the surface of water, it releases hydrogen. And when hydrogen gas gets released, this metal from the surface is slightly lifted up. And when the metal is in air, there is no water, no hydrogen, the metal comes down to the water. Again, it's reacted, acid reaction, hydrogen is released, metal moves. So in that situation, what happens? The metal does not remain in the station, it continuously jumps up down. It continuously moves randomly, it moves around. And that is what is in fixed activities as dancing sodium. This is what makes sodium to dance. I will show you clearly. Take a container having little bit of water, put a small bit of sodium metal. Remember the property of sodium. Sodium is a metal which is lighter than water. So that metal will be floating on the surface. The sodium metal gets floated on the surface, and as the metal reacts with water, what happens? Hydrogen gas is released. Hydrogen is the lightest gas. So that hydrogen release will make the metal to be lifted up little bit. And as the metal comes up, it is not in contact with water, no reaction, no hydrogen gas, it comes down again. So in that method, the metal will be continuously, randomly moving around. And that process is known as dancing sodium. Not only sodium, all these metals will be dancing. The reason they are lighter than water, therefore they float. They react vigorously with water, very fast reaction. Understood? They react with water, hydrogen is released. So in that method, the metal does not remain in the station, it continuously moves around. And that is how the reaction takes place. Simply you can do this. If you take an iron and put it in the glass containing water, what happens? It goes down, it remains there stationary, it is not going to move. Understood? Any metal, if you put a strip of magnesium, magnesium reacts with water, but that is very slow reaction. Magnesium does not move anywhere because it's a metal which is heavier than water, it sinks down. But sodium being lighter, this reaction will take place. Now, further one, second part. What is the effect of indicators onto that? What is the effect of indicators? Now, you know, sodium hydroxide is an alkali, right? And alkali changes the color of red litmus to blue. So this will change, sodium hydroxide changes red litmus to blue. Phenolphthalein, pink. Understood it? So this is a question. What happens when a piece of sodium is put into cold water? It reacts vigorously, it jumps up down, it reacts vigorously to produce sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. And what is the effect of indicators? Sodium hydroxide is being an alkali that will change the color of indicators. Red litmus to be blue and phenolphthalein turns to pink. Understood the reaction? How does sodium react with cold water? Vigorously. And this is the reason why we cannot store sodium in water. If you leave sodium in air, it catches fire. If you store sodium metal in, what happens? In water, it reacts vigorously. Then where else we store? We have to cover that metal with something. We should not have water, we should not have oxygen. Therefore, organic, what I mean is the mineral oils are used. Petrol, diesel, kerosene, paraffin wax, anything can be used. We can store that in petrol, we can store in diesel, kerosene, or even paraffin wax. But why kerosene is preferred? Because earlier time, maybe around 15-20 years back, kerosene was the only domestic fuel available. Petrol used to be filled in vehicles. Every house used to have kerosene lamp and the kerosene is being used. So kerosene was the most common fuel available. Maybe that is the reason why it is being stored in kerosene. But nowadays it is not stored in kerosene oil. It is coming packed in paraffin bags. You know that bags? Paraffin, Vaseline. So Vaseline is heated, it melts. Put sodium metal, the molten paraffin, you add it up, it gets covered up and the metal is filled. When a piece of sodium metal from the paraffin wax is taken, you are taking the piece of sodium metal. You know that we are saying all metals are shiny, bright, white metal. Sodium is also shiny white metal. But when you see that metal, it looks like that of this black, the white coating is there. It's a white color, but it is not shiny. Because the metal being highly reactive, it gets reacted with atmosphere to develop a coating. Understand it? First sodium reacts with oxygen, we get sodium oxide. Sodium oxide combines with H2O, we get NaOH. And NaOH plus carbon dioxide, we get NaCO2. White coating that is formed on the metal. Sodium is a shiny white metal. You remove the metal outside, immediately it develops a coating of this because it reacts with oxygen oxide that will be combined to produce NaOH and NaOH plus carbon dioxide, it develops a white coating. White coating that is formed on sodium metal is sodium carbonate. So during the process of manufacture, it all happens, and that is how it is being. So the white coating that is formed on the metal is nothing but sodium carbonate. So first property, the highly reactive metals, they react vigorously with oxygen to produce sodium oxide. They react with water vigorously. Cold water is mentioned. Now remember, if the metal gets reacted with cold water, what would be its reaction when it is put into cold water? The reaction will be still vigorous. Clearly, sodium gets reacted with cold water. It will react vigorously with this. Therefore, there is what happens when sodium metal glycerides earlier relax from displacement. Those metals which are above hydrogen, those metals which are above hydrogen will displace hydrogen from diluted acid. So if you put a piece of sodium metal into diluted with Cl, what is produced? NaCl plus hydrogen gas is released. The release of hydrogen gas. But this experiment is not generally experimented. It should be studied, experimented with proper guidance. Because what has happened? If sodium is put into cold water, it reacts vigorously to produce sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. If a larger piece of sodium metal is put, that metal will catch fire. You are studying the lower classes. When a thing to be caught fire, it has to attain its ignition temperature, kindling temperature. That's what it. When sodium reacts with water, sodium hydroxide is formed, heat is generated, and when the heat is sufficient enough, and if there is sufficient amount of sodium, it will catch fire and that will explode. If sodium gets exploded, if sodium catches fire in cold water, then what would have happened if we put that into acid? The reaction will be still more vigorous. That will be dangerous. That is why these type of experiments are not generally performed. Theoretically, don't just look at this. It is not mentioned that sodium does not react. There is no sodium reacts with all these things, but the reaction will be vigorous. You put the sodium metal into the test tube containing diluted acid. Within no time, the test tube will burst. Because what has happened? The reaction is so violent. That's what it is. Here, sodium reacts with cold water vigorously to produce sodium hydroxide, and therefore it reacts with diluted acid more vigorously, and that will be slightly explosive. Therefore, this is now understood the first reaction of highly reactive. Similarly, all these metals which are highly reactive, they undergo these reactions. Remember the color what I told you. Sodium burns with golden yellow, potassium purple, and calcium brick red. Remember these three colors, and the only question that you can get is regarding sodium. Understood the reaction of metals with highly reactive metals with this one, oxygen, water, and atmosphere. All right. The next one. The next reaction that we are going to take is reaction or reactivity of metals which are reactive one. First one we are taking highly reactive metals. The next one what we are going to take is reactive metals. Reactive metals like magnesium, aluminum, Fe, zinc, etc. These metals. How do these metals react? First thing what we are taking extremely highly reactive, which are stored in kerosene oil. And none of these metals are stored in kerosene oil. They are reactive. You are seeing when you were in 9th standard, the strip of magnesium rubber strip you are seeing. It was not shiny, it was having a grayish color. It was asked you to rub that magnesium rubber with the sandpaper. So magnesium is a reactive metal, but that does not catch fire, that therefore it is not stored under kerosene oil. Now what happens when magnesium is taken? If you put it near a flame, when the magnesium rubber is brought near a flame, what happens? The magnesium metal gets heated up, and you can experience that we got a grayish coating in magnesium oxide, the bright flash of light. Understood it? We get a magnesium oxide is formed, which will be producing a bright flash of light plus magnesium oxide is formed. This experiment you did in the lab, burning a magnesium rubber, isn't it? So that is the reaction of these metals. They react with oxygen and it forms magnesium. Similarly, aluminum will react with oxygen to produce Al2O3. You know that we are most commonly using aluminum utensils in the kitchen. Aluminum utensils are being used in the kitchen. So all those aluminum utensils, what we are having it, already the metal has a coating of its oxide over it. Externally and internally, it develops a coating of aluminum oxide, and that prevents the further oxidation of the metal. And that is the advantage of oxidation of this metal. There's only one advantage. You take any aluminum metal, rub its surface, any container you take it, rub its surface with a sandpaper. You rub it, and then you can see the shiny nature of aluminum metal. Leave it there for about 24 hours or some time. The shiny nature gets disappeared, and it will be developing a coating. So this aluminum oxide coating that is formed over the aluminum metal is preventing rest of the reactions. Preventing its rest of the reaction. That is advantage of aluminum. So don't just think that we use aluminum containers in the kitchen. Don't ever think that it is not going to be getting reacted. Already the metal got reacted and it has got a coating over it, and that coating prevents its rest of the reactions. That prevents the rest of the reactions. That is how. Similarly, Fe also. But what has happened? When Fe reacts with oxygen, as studied in the first chapter, it is forming Fe2O3. That is the main constituent of rust is formed. You don't use Fe containers in the kitchen for cooking purpose. Water-based cooking is not done with Fe containers. We boil the water, we use aluminum containers and stainless steel. If something is to be cooked in a steel container, steel means Fe, it is not good because it gets corroded. And why should? Fe is less reactive than aluminum. Aluminum is more reactive. But aluminum metal has developed the coating of oxide that stops the rest of the reaction. Whereas Fe metal gets the coating of Fe2O3. And this cannot prevent the further oxidation. You leave a nail outside. After a few days or after a few months, you go and check it out. It gets completely converted into rust. Because that Fe also developed its coating Fe2O3. And that Fe2O3 is continuously getting reacted, and therefore it is. Whereas aluminum, once the coating is formed, that is for all. And that is the reason this is a question asked. Why we prefer to use aluminum metal in the kitchen rather than Fe? Fe is lesser reactive. Aluminum is more reactive. So aluminum more reactive, aluminum remain passive due to the coating of Al2. Understood it? That is all about the reaction. The rest will be doing it.